the weight of history presses on us all, a silent record of choices made, of dreams born and dreams shattered, of civilizations that rose like towers of ambition only to collapse beneath the weight of their own contradictions. And in every corner of that history, in every victory, in every tragedy, stands man. Man, the architect of empires. Man, the sculptor of destiny. Man, the only creature capable of imagining eternity, yet often enslaved by the moment. For thousands of years, humanity has danced on the knife's edge between creation and destruction, between mastery and ruin, between discipline and indulgence, between the pursuit of greatness and the seduction of comfort. Man has the power to act as his own destroyer, and that is the way he has acted through most of his history. Not because nature demands it, not because fate insists upon it, but because within man beats a war, an internal war far more devastating than any conflict of nations. The war between vision and doubt, the war between courage and fear, the war between the discipline of progress and the laziness of stagnation. Look back. The ruins of Rome whisper of leaders who traded discipline for decadence. The ashes of fallen empires speak of men who once disciplined builders succumbed to their own indulgence. It has never been external forces that have destroyed man's greatest works. It has always been the rot from within. Edison did not battle nature to invent the light bulb. He battled 10,000 failures of his own making. Carnegie did not conquer the steel industry by luck. He waged war against inefficiency, against his own doubts, against the voices who told him it could not be done. Disney did not sculpt his empire by mere chance. He stood on the precipice of bankruptcy, ridiculed by critics, mocked by peers, and yet he kept building. The destroyer was always there, lurking in the shadows, whispering, "Stop, rest, give up," and yet they refused.
Because they understood a truth most never accept. Man's default setting is destruction. His salvation is conscious creation. You see, there is no neutrality in life. There is no standing still. Each moment, you either build or you erode. You rise or you decay. You sharpen or you dull. The world does not reward existence. It rewards creation. Existence is cheap. Existence requires nothing but breath. But creation, true, meaningful, enduring creation, demands everything. It demands sacrifice. It demands discipline. It demands vision unshaken by failure. Musk did not become a builder of rockets and electric empires because it was safe. He stood before governments, before billion-dollar industries, before the collective laughter of the world, and he built anyway. Why? Because when you operate from first principles, when you strip away the noise, when you tear through the assumptions, you see the raw architecture of reality itself. Physics does not care about your excuses. Physics does not bend for your feelings. Physics simply is. And so too is the law of progress. Progress belongs to the builders, not the reactors, not the critics, not the ones who wait for permission, because permission is the language of weakness. Permission is the chain that binds the average. Permission is the excuse of those too afraid to confront their own power. History remembers the doers, not the watchers. The Wright brothers did not have degrees or privilege or blueprints. They had broken wings. They had failure after failure after failure. But they also had something far rarer, the refusal to stop. Their first plane did not fly because of perfection. It flew because they refused to surrender to gravity's taunt. And when they lifted into the air, they tore a hole in the ceiling of limitation itself. This is the divine paradox of mankind. We are our own destroyers, but we are also the only species capable of transcending destruction through the power of disciplined creation.
You can observe this truth in every domain of your life. The man who neglects his body for comfort and pleasure will pay the price of illness. The entrepreneur who avoids risk will rot inside the coffin of missed opportunity. The artist who waits for inspiration will watch as time steals the very life they hope to paint. Comfort is the seed of decay. Indulgence is the whisper of mediocrity. Safety is the most dangerous lie ever sold to the human spirit. The world whispers, "Slow down, take it easy, you've done enough." But the builders hear a different voice, the voice of history itself, asking, "Will you rise? Will you carry the burden? Will you plant seeds for a future you may never live to see?" Because that is the highest act of creation. To build knowing that your work may not reward you today. Carnegie did not build steel mills for applause. He built because he understood that scale, when mastered, could bend reality itself. That design and technology improvements, compounded through scale, would one day make steel as common as air. Musk does not build reusable rockets for comfort. He builds because he knows that colonizing planets is not optional, it is necessary for the survival of our species. Disney did not build castles of imagination for praise. He built because he saw a blank canvas where others saw impossibility. Lincoln did not lead for power. He led to hold a fractured nation together through blood and fire. And you too are a builder. Whether you recognize it or not, every choice you make either constructs or demolishes your future. You are building habits, building skills, building mindsets, building legacies, or you are dismantling them through comfort, avoidance, and fear. The world owes you nothing. It is not waiting for your convenience. It rewards the ones who build, anyway. The ones who move before they are ready. The ones who step into the chaos, not because they have guaranteed success, but because they have trained their soul to endure uncertainty.
Because uncertainty is the birthplace of greatness. Uncertainty is where most men fall. They pray for guarantees. They crave assurances. They wait for the world to promise safety before they act. But safety is not a law of nature. It is a fabrication, a comfortable illusion sold to the masses who are terrified of risk. The builders know better. The builders know that risk is not the enemy. Risk is the doorway. Risk is the filter through which the weak are separated from the worthy. Risk is the crucible that forges clarity, strength, and resilience. You see, every empire you admire was once a fragile idea, nothing more than sparks in the mind of someone foolish enough to believe. Edison sat alone, bankrupt, humiliated after thousands of failed attempts at the light bulb. The world called him insane, but he pressed forward. Ford stood mocked as his assembly line was called reckless fantasy. He kept building. Disney watched as his first studio collapsed into debt and lawsuits. He dreamed anyway. Musk faced the very real possibility of complete ruin, both Tesla and SpaceX on the verge of simultaneous failure while critics laughed and investors fled. But they endured, not because they knew they would win, but because they refused to be enslaved by the fear of loss. That is the dividing line. The average man fears loss. The builder fears nothing more than surrender. Loss can be repaired. Failure can be analyzed. Pain can be harnessed. But surrender? Surrender is death. The graveyards of history are littered with the corpses of men who chose comfort over struggle, safety over growth, reaction over creation. The Roman Empire did not fall to an outside force. It rotted from within. It drowned in its own decadence, in its worship of pleasure, in its addiction to comfort. And this war continues today, not on distant battlefields, but in your very soul. The enemy is not external. It is the voice that says, "You've done enough. You've earned a break. Why suffer? Why risk?"
Because suffering is the price of mastery. Because risk is the price of scale. Because sacrifice is the price of creation. You were not born to react. You were born to build. But building demands clarity, ruthless clarity. Most wander through life intoxicated by noise, opinions, trends, fears, emotions. They follow narratives. They obey tradition. They inherit assumptions. They build nothing. But the builder asks a different question, the only question that matters. What is true? Not what is popular, not what is accepted, not what is comfortable. What is true? Because truth does not bend to your feelings. Truth does not bow to the collective opinion. Truth simply is. Physics does not care that you feel tired. Engineering does not care that you feel unqualified. Markets do not care that you feel entitled. The world rewards output. The world rewards those who engineer reality. The first principles builder strips away every layer of noise until only truth remains. And from that truth, he constructs systems that scale. Not once, not twice, but endlessly. A man who understands systems understands power. A man who understands power understands scale. And scale is the great amplifier of history. Tesla did not win because of marketing. Tesla won because of scale. Because systems were designed to replicate output relentlessly. Every time an assembly line produces a Model 3, it is not merely manufacturing, it is the physical embodiment of design compounded by discipline. It is what allows affordability to emerge. Affordability is not charity. Affordability is not luck. Affordability is engineered inevitability. That is why Musk calls the factory the machine that builds the machine. Because factories are scale incarnate. Because factories are how an idea becomes a global force. And that same principle applies to every domain of your life. Your mind is a factory. Your discipline is a factory. Your habits are a factory. Your systems are factories. The question is, what are they producing? Are you building systems that compound your skill, that replicate your knowledge, that scale your discipline, that automate your growth, that multiply your value while you sleep? Or are you reacting, waiting, hoping, while the builders pass you by? The difference between those who rise and those who fall is not talent. It is not luck. It is not access. It is design. Design is the ultimate leverage. Design determines whether your habits strengthen you or weaken you. Design determines whether your business scales or collapses. Design determines whether your knowledge compounds or rots. Design is the silent force that separates the architects of progress from the masses of mediocrity.
But design demands war against complexity, because complexity flatters the ego. Complexity makes you feel intelligent while masking inefficiency. The weak hide behind complexity. The bold seek simplicity. Da Vinci whispered it centuries ago. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Because simplicity is elegance. Simplicity is efficiency. Simplicity is clarity made visible. The Model 3 shattered the auto industry, not because of features, but because of design elegance. Fewer parts, smarter systems, ruthless optimization. Simplicity allows scale. Simplicity unlocks affordability. Simplicity exposes truth. But simplicity is not easy. Simplicity is brutal.
Simplicity demands that you cut away everything that does not serve the mission. It requires courage to eliminate what is comfortable but unnecessary. It requires discipline to abandon sacred traditions that no longer serve reality. It requires clarity to see signal amidst the endless noise. The builder lives inside this war. Every day, cut, sharpen, refine, simplify. Because the world will tempt you endlessly to add more complexity, more distraction, more noise. But the master builder sees through the illusion. He knows the more you subtract, the more you scale. And scale, true scale, is where power lives. Scale bends reality. Scale turns scarcity into abundance. Scale transforms luxury into access. Scale converts the impossible into the inevitable. Steel was once reserved for kings. Now it frames the skeleton of cities. Electricity was once for the elite. Now it powers every home. Automobiles were once toys for the rich. Now they flood highways. The internet was once chained to government institutions. Now it lives in every pocket. And soon, space, brain-computer interfaces, artificial intelligence, and clean energy will follow the same arc. Because when design, technology, and scale converge, nothing remains scarce for long. But with scale comes another trial: time. The builders understand that time is not an enemy, but a partner. Time is the silent architect that compounds their designs into dominance. Time rewards those who respect its patience. Time devours those who chase its shortcuts. The average man sees time as his oppressor. He resents the waiting. He craves instant gratification. He wants results before discipline. He wants reward before sacrifice. But the builder knows mastery is purchased in years, not weeks. The Wright brothers did not fly after their first attempt. Their first machine did not glide through the air with applause. It crashed. And then it crashed again, and again, and again. Each failure was not defeat. Each failure was tuition. They studied the wind. They re-engineered the wing. They observed the lift. They recalibrated the structure. And slowly, brutally slowly, they crawled from ignorance to flight.
When their plane finally lifted, it was not a miracle. It was the inevitable consequence of disciplined iteration. The same story echoes through every domain of progress. Iteration is scale in disguise. You are not here to find the perfect plan. You are here to refine, to test, to adjust, to sharpen, to evolve. Perfection is not a moment you achieve. Perfection is the byproduct of relentless correction. Disney did not build his empire in one perfect launch. His first studio collapsed. His projects failed. His financing fell apart. But every failure was fuel. Every closed door forced a redesign. Every obstacle forged a stronger system. That is the way of the builder. Fail forward, adjust aggressively, scale relentlessly. But the world worships the illusion of the overnight success. They will see your emergence years after the silent labor and call you lucky. They will whisper that you are chosen. They will insist that fortune smiled on you, because they did not witness the years in the shadows. They did not see you waking early while others slept. They did not see the nights of quiet frustration. They did not see the rejections, the pivots, the sacrifices. They see only the outcome, blind to the brutal process beneath it. This is why belief is oxygen. In the early days, belief is all you possess. Before momentum compounds, before systems click into place, before the world notices, you must believe that your vision is worth pursuing, that your designs will mature, that your systems will one day replicate themselves, that your discipline will outlast the noise. When Musk bet everything, his fortune, his reputation, his sanity, on Tesla and SpaceX simultaneously, he was not gambling. He was operating on first principles, on physics, on design, on scale. Because when you strip away the narratives, when you cut through the emotion, when you pierce the layers of noise, you are left with a simple law of the universe. Affordability is engineered. Progress is engineered. Abundance is engineered. Design it better. Engineer it smarter. Scale it faster. This law applies to rockets, and it applies to your life, your business, your health, your relationships, your knowledge, your impact. Take any area of your life and apply the builder's lens. Where is the friction? Where is the inefficiency? Where is the design flaw? Where can scale multiply my output? The masses chase outcomes. The builders construct systems. The masses chase income. The builders create machines that print income. The masses chase fitness goals. The builders create habits that self-replicate health. The masses chase knowledge. The builders create frameworks that automate learning.
The masses chase leadership titles. The builders create cultures that replicate leadership at scale. This is the art of scale. This is the architecture of enduring dominance. But you must resist the poison that seduces most, complexity. Because complexity flatters the ego. It whispers, "Look how sophisticated you are." It cloaks weakness in intellectual jargon. It disguises inefficiency with fancy labels. The builders do not fall for this. They cut, they simplify, they sharpen, they strip away everything that does not serve the mission. Because at the center of every great empire is ruthless simplicity. The Model 3 was not revolutionary because it was complex. It was revolutionary because it was simple. Fewer parts, more automation, streamlined assembly. Simplicity allows scale. Scale allows affordability. Affordability allows mass adoption. Mass adoption fuels civilization. This is the great engine of history. Steel, electricity, automobiles, computers, the internet, and now, reusable rockets, neural interfaces, artificial intelligence, global satellite networks, sustainable energy, all follow the same law, all follow the same arc, all submit to the same formula. Design better, engineer smarter, scale relentlessly. But most will never submit to this path, because this path demands everything. It demands your ego. It demands your excuses. It demands your comforts. It demands your illusions. It demands that you step naked into the arena of reality, where only truth lives. Most retreat. They react. They negotiate with fear. They fold under criticism. They surrender to the illusion of safety. Because safety is comfortable. Comfort is easy. And comfort is the gateway to destruction. But you are not here for comfort. You are here to build.